Welcome back to another episode of the Bear Trap on the Boomer Bust channel, Bears podcast by a Bears fan. I'm your host Terry, and today we are going to look at what do they call him? I kept calling him Kiran. His name is Kiran Amegadjie. Actually, I don't know. That's just what they called him, and he probably didn't want to correct them. So we'll see what he says. I was told Kiran at first, and then they were saying Kiran. So we will see. But either way, he's out of Yale. Illinois kid from Hinsdale. So shout out to that. This is a person that I was pretty fond of throughout the process, and then I did put together a target list, and there were some people I left off. There's some people that I didn't get a real good chance to look at, and then with Amegadjie, I wasn't sure where he was going to go. And then by the time the first round ended and we had that run on tackles, it was pretty clear that the tackles were going to go pretty early. So guys like him and Blake Fisher and Patrick Paul, all these guys that you weren't sure exactly where they were going to go, it was clear they were going to go on day two. But before that, I wasn't really sure. I didn't think we would have picks later into the draft, but he was there in day two, and so yeah. Anyway, but I enjoyed the tape. The tough thing is, the competition you're going to watch isn't going to be any big names. So I picked Morgan State, and it's a HBCU. I think it's probably one of the better competitions that we, or at least of the film that they have. So we'll go through that, and I'll just kind of tell you what I'm seeing, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Yesterday we didn't do too much. It was just it was a lot of speculation. Will we go up into the second round and do something? But we didn't. Kind of stay put. We did stay put to the third round and just let this fall to us. So I'm cool with that too. I know a lot of people wanted a tackle, and in the earlier rounds. And again, I still think Braxton is a starter, and so I wasn't like, we really need a tackle. I wasn't too crazy about it. But we get Kiran. I'm still getting used to that. Excuse me, Kiran. And you had Poles talk about how he can develop into a swing tackle again, just adding competition, especially as a guy that played offensive line. I think he's always going to want to have competition. As a third round pick, I don't think he'll get cut. I think he's got the tools to stay on the team. But in the tackle spot, I think, like I said, for the most part on the offensive line, we're going to roll it back except that center, and that's pretty much how it's been. I thought that might be a possibility where we would have got Jackson Powers Johnson since he made it to the second round, or even coming up for Zach Frazier. But I'm not too shocked because they wanted Ryan Bates before, and I think a lot of people forgot that when they first got him. And so I think they kind of are confident in what they want him to do. And so, yeah, here we go. All right, so let's go through a little bit of this tape. We got Kieran 72 as the left tackle. Again, this is Morgan State. So this first play, is a run. And as I remember my little rewind tool. So we got a zone block. You see him zone down now. First thing I noticed, you get a 2-for-1 on the targets. Despite what the play is or anything like that. That's already telling me something about the athleticism, the move, to be able to move your feet, flip your hips, and get from one target to the next. That tells me, or at least gives me a little indication about athleticism. So we got play action here. Probably an RPO, but either way, this run setup, I like the angle. Put your butt to the play. A lot what I talked about with Alt. Now, that was more of a get in the way than it was driving somebody out, but that's okay. Both styles work for me. See, we got a quarterback run. We see 72 shielding him off again. Now, what I like is the feet. It reminds me again of watching Joe Alt's tape. You aren't going to see a lot of offensive linemen continue to move their feet after contact. So here we get a down block and sprint out. And then again, especially when the play is away, for any player, but particularly linemen, just watching them to see what type of motor they got. Are they going to the whistle or not? So then we get a pass rush. We see the hands within the frame, a little high up towards the neck, but within the frame. And there's zero issue with an anchor right here. And again, the issue, and I think one of the reasons that this guy's not a first round pick probably, is that he had that lower scale competition. So there's still going to be that question of like, how functionally strong are you? So we saw him kick this D end out again. Again, not a mauler. No one's nasty. No one's trying to kill no one. But he seals it off, gets a good angle. Make sure that his assignment is nowhere near the play. So again, you talk about a person, it's an Ivy League education, number one, but he could have transferred in the portal easily and went to a different school, and I think it would have been a different conversation. But he stayed at Yale, and I think honestly that's why he moved down to the third round. So that's, I mean, again, we've already seen number 11 is not the strongest guy. So we see him bully this guy. His helmet started in the 11's chest, so that tells you he's nice and low. Balance is okay, but still has good hands, tight into the frame, and good leg drive to want to get him out. So you ended up like 5-some yards from where you started. We like that. Block down again on this double team. Now I don't like that, because on this double team you should secure his outside shoulder. There should be no reason why y'all turnstiled him in that way. He kind of took himself out of the play, but that was not the assignment there. So then again, as I always say, if I'm starting from scratch, I take little mental notes, and then I start to watch and see if I see a theme there as he fell off that block. So here we square up pretty well again. Hands are tight, standing up, but hands are tight. And the anchor, no problem once again. So then we give a little RPO, same thing. But every play I notice the feet. I notice that they don't stop moving. So that's a pass pro there. And I like the hands. The hands were tight. I don't like guys that hug people and catch people. I like when the hands are within the frame. So you see, hands are a little wide, but not on the shoulder. They're still on the chest pad area. Oh, fast forward too far. So we got another zone look. Don't love that angle, but you watch him get to the second level. That's not an issue. Not slow, none of that. And really, that's an angle issue. I think 100% athletic wise, he was able to get to the second level defender. Then we go to the next play. We got a straight up pass pro. And this, honestly, when you watch this type of tape, this is why the Senior Bowl is so huge. Because the first thing you're going to think when you watch these guys is like, man, he's destroying. And for me, if you're on a lower level and you're not destroying, not that there's no conversation, but it's hard for me to really rate you high on the board. Like, if you're low level, you better be out there dominating competition. But the issue is, even if you do that, which you should, so it's like, okay, Kiran isn't moving an inch. This anchor is crazy. You still naturally gonna be like, okay, but this is a HBCU. This is a Division III. This is whatever it is they're playing. that's the first thought you're going to have. And so seeing them in the Senior Bowl, seeing them obviously transfer to a bigger school, that changes the conversation for the draft. And again, on this play, I mean, look, that run's not possible without him. And it wasn't perfect by any means. But watch, again, contact. Okay, I'm anchoring. But let me keep moving my feet. Counter. Let me keep moving my feet. Let me keep moving my feet. And because he did that, Zero had no chance of being the edge defender to force that back inside. So again, those are the things that stand out to me when I watch him. Pass pro, extension, a lot of distance between him. These edge rushers have zero clue what they doing, so pretty easy for him to anchor. But again, as we see most of this game, once he anchors, there's no space given up. Now I want to see that be better. It's not an easy block, but I want to see this be better. We down block into this double team. Your man's here. You got the angle. I need a better angle. He overdrove. Let his guy go right past him. That guy's free. Pretty much makes the play. I don't like that. Now, again, this is Yale. You know, we're in the NFL now. You know, head needs to be up. That technique's just not good. I don't like that technique. So that could be cleaned up. As much like I say with Caleb, it's not like, oh my God, he's going to do that exact same thing. No, we're about projecting. So we're looking at the skills of it. So that technique wasn't good, but that could get cleaned up easily in NFL. This is going to be a different level of coaching. So the anchor, easy. Now I want to see him finish that play like he's been doing, but we saw that anchored up. And that's why I'm probably not going to go super long into this, because it's just like these guys had nothing for him. And again, the other games like Holy Cross and stuff, like it's going to be the same thing. And so I remember watching this like, man, this dude is really good, but I didn't want to get super hyped because I was like, I can't confirm it because I don't have other level of competition. And that's the other reason, like, people are like, oh, these cupcake games that the big schools play, a lot of times that helps. That could help make a name for a prospect. So pass pro, hands inside, tight. His pass pro pretty smooth. He's not being threatened by any speed. So, I mean, a lot of times you want to see how much depth they can get on the kick slide, but he doesn't need to a lot. He's pretty much shuffling here, but we see plays where his pass pro is nice and smooth. He's kind of got that area down, and he's got the athleticism to get to that space. Nice seal out here. But for me, I mean, the biggest things when I watch him, you got good arm length and knowing how to use that extension. Not, scared to get physical at all. Not nasty, but not scared to get physical. And then his hands are always tight. And I love that. I guarantee you every year, if you charted it out, the offensive linemen that tend to have the widest hands are always like the really big school guys. And so it's rare when you get a couple guys that really know how to get their hand placement, because the hand placement is everything next to moving your feet. If you can't keep your hands tight, you're not going to stay on blocks. And so I like that when he punches and he strikes towards the chest, he works into the frame. Those last two plays, again, keep moving your feet, but we already saw plays where you can. And that's the thing. So once I know you can do it, it's up to us to get you consistent. So keep playing, keep going through the whistle, move your feet. Relocating from one target to the other one, smooth. And so I want to see for him, definitely, because most colleges, their training program doesn't compare to the NFL. So I'm guessing Yale's is even a lower tier. So I'm waiting, not waiting, but I'm looking forward to him to getting into the weight room. Um, we'll see what he does because it's not mandatory, but I would like to see him improve some core strength, improve some lower body strength, kind of, get some of that functional muscle. And it's not that he's not good now, but I think he would be even better, especially if he doesn't have to play right away. He'd be even better because you got pretty good habits with your hands. You got pretty good ability with the feet, able to move them. See that mirror, 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 and then that finish. That's nasty. Again, not scared of contact. I wouldn't call him nasty, but not scared of contact at all. But yeah, to add that physical ability, or to even make it a little better and compare it with some pretty good tools, I think, man, or that's 62, but I think that's going to be absolutely a slam dunk. So we see another bull rush. These guys didn't get original with him and was able to hem him up. Now he has played guard. We know with our guards is more issue of availability. So he has played guard. And he's not the tallest guy. So I forgot what he measured in at. But either way, between, under 6'6", I think is perfectly fine for someone to kick inside without you worrying about leverage issues. And you can see he's able to sink his hips. He can get down and play with leverage when he wants to. So I'm not super worried about that either. And then if we get to I think he'll definitely be cross trained. And then if we get to the point where he has to step in, then he can. And Poles pretty much said the idea for him this year was to just develop essentially and compete, to be on the roster. He said he doesn't see him taking a starting spot this year. So I think that's what most people are kind of looking for. But this could be a great value, whether you want to move on from Braxton, whether you ended up needing just a swing tackle and move on from Bourne, whether you want to move him to guard. I think third round is going to be a great value for you. So again, just a little movement throw. Nothing super exciting. Straight pass pro. Same thing. I feel bad. I wish I could give you something more dynamic, but that's how these guys played. They just wanted to attack them straight up in a bull rush, and they don't have none of the juice to do that to them. But I like him bend at the knees. I like him to get low, play with leverage. Yeah, we're going to stop there because, I feel like I'm saying the exact same thing over and over. So that is our third round pick, Kiran Amegadjie. Again, I think I said this and I had one person try to push back, but I didn't hear any other pushback. So I don't know how y'all felt. But I said this during the draft outlook. Most of the roster set. We traded up into, what was that, the 5th round today to get Austin Booker. Outside of that, it was going to be no defensive picks, which I felt weird in the mock draft simulations doing a lot of times because I was like, are they really going to do that? But I said from the beginning, we're pretty much set between obviously last year and then free agency this year. The biggest things was bringing back Jalen and then bringing in Bayard. So it was just okay, the rest of the secondary is coming back. The defensive line pretty much is what it is. We just drafted two, everybody's like, we're going to get Byron Murphy and stuff. And we might have, but I'm just we just drafted 2 defensive tackles in the mid rounds. Why would we draft another one high? And then obviously, as I said, the edge rushing was not great. So, we pretty much would have stayed all offense, but we traded back and got Austin Booker. But that's a 5th round pick. He's okay. So yeah, I did not feel like our roster had a bunch of holes, and I really felt like we did not need a bunch of picks to be recouped in terms of like we need an 11 pick draft. Definitely not. I wanted to get into the second round, but I didn't feel like we needed to, try to get 8 picks or anything for this draft. As I said, once you get Caleb, and then if you take Odunze or if you trade back and get a couple premium guys, like that's cool, but that's pretty much it. The rest is depth. And then of course we drafted the punter too, which kind of tells you. Now, my boy Van Pran was still on the board. I feel a little some way about that, but like I said, it's pretty clear they're ready to roll with what they're gonna do in terms of the center position. But we take a punter who, funny enough, I only was thinking about because I was listening to the radio to Waddle and Sylvie, and they had someone talking about trading up to, or not trading up, but taking him in the 3rd round. And I've heard somewhat about this punter, but I wasn't really thinking about our punting that much. But someone did mention that, so when he came across the screen, I was just like, we end up getting him for real. Obviously not in the 3rd round, but we was able to get him with our 4th round pick. And so once you're taking punters, like, come on. Like I said, the roster's pretty much set. I don't know what else there is to say. Like, to talk about Bowers, like, he's really good, so yeah, but really, do we, we're going to have Everett, and we're going to have Komet, and then they're like, oh, well, 3 tight ends. Like, we could find a tight end. Like, if we need to go 3 tight ends, which won't be all that often, we'll have another tight end. We don't need Bowers. We really didn't need Odunze. A lot of people argued that, and they were like, we need tackle. I'm like, well, actually, Braxton is still on a rookie contract, and he's been starting for us, so do we need a tackle? We just drafted one. So I don't know there was a lot of needs besides the quarterback and the edge, and it just wasn't the edge class. So anyway, Kiran, I think is a good pick. I'm really excited. I was on a podcast, or not podcast the other day, Trapper Dive, and that is a Washington Commanders podcast. There's somebody that I saw on Twitter who I thought was pretty smart. So I started following them. So I jumped in, was able to chop it up with them for a minute. And one of them were talking so much about how they wanted the Commanders to get Kiran in the 2nd round potentially. And we were just talking about how much we liked him. So I was making fun of them that we ended up getting him. So yeah, man, I think people recognize the talent. So all right, that's it for me. Go down in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Share it around, get the conversation started. Thumbs up, subscribe, and remember, stay up and bear down.